Hey everyone, it's Alex, and I am back with my video where I take a look at the winners of the 42nd Annual Saturn Awards. Now, as I said in my Saturn Awards nominations video, the Saturn Awards are an award show designed to honor the genres of film and television that often get overlooked by the Oscars and the Emmys, such as science fiction, fantasy, horror, action, thriller, etc. Now, the Oscars and the Emmys don't always overlook films in those genres. The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King memorably won 11 Oscars, including Best Picture. And last year, Game of Thrones won the Emmy for Outstanding Drama Series, and in fact, people are predicting it will win again this year. Now, why the Oscars and the Emmys don't always have categories packed with science fiction, fantasy, horror nominees year after year, that's not necessarily what I'm here to talk about today. That's a subject for another video, but I probably won't be making that kind of video because there are a ton of other videos on my radar to make, and I won't have time for that. But what I am going to do here is I'm going to analyze the winners of the Saturn Awards and tell you whether I think they're good or not. Now, the Saturn Awards are unique not just for their concept, but for the fact that they have never been broadcast on television ever since they were established in the early 1970s. I don't even think they do an internet live stream of the ceremony either. You know, there are videos of like stars on the red carpet from various YouTube channels and whatnot, but that's about it. There aren't any videos from inside the ceremony, or there's no videos of people giving acceptance speeches and stuff like that, so the only way we truly know the winners is when the Saturn Awards put a press statement on their website saying, here are the winners. And that's what we're going to do today. So, I got my trusty computer right here where I have all the winners listed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read off the winners from the three types of categories the Saturn Awards have: DVDs and Blu-rays, television, and film. So here are the winners of the DVD categories. Best DVD or Blu-ray release, Burying the X. Best DVD or Blu-ray television release, The X-Files: The Collector's Set. Best DVD or Blu-ray special edition release, X-Men: Days of Future Past: The Rogue Cut. Best DVD or Blu-ray classic film release, Miracle Mile. Best DVD or Blu-ray collection, Frank Darabont Collection. Now, I haven't seen most of these DVDs or DVD collections, so I'm not going to comment on whether these winners are good or bad, so I'll just hope that the Saturn Awards experts watched a lot of these before casting their final vote. Alright, now the television winners. Best Young Actor or Actress on Television, Chandler Riggs, The Walking Dead. Best Supporting Actor on Television, Richard Armitage, Hannibal. Best Supporting Actress on Television, Denai Guerrera, The Walking Dead. Best Actor on Television, Bruce Campbell, Ash vs. Evil Dead. Best Actress on Television, Katrina Balfe, Outlander. Best Guest Performer on Television, William Shatner, Haven. Best Presentation on Television, Doctor Who: The Husbands of River Song. Best New Media Television Series, Daredevil. Best Superhero Television Series, The Flash. Best Action or Thriller Television Series, Hannibal. Best Fantasy Television Series, Outlander. Best Horror Television Series, The Walking Dead. And finally, Best Science Fiction Television Series, Continuum. Now, admittedly, I don't watch a lot of these shows. I certainly am aware of what most of them are because they do have a big place in pop culture, but, you know, there are just so many TV shows these days, and since my focus is usually on films more than television, I don't always have time to sit down and watch these shows. So I can't really comment too much on whether these winners are deserving or not, but I guess for Best Young Actor or Actress on Television, I guess I can certainly understand Chandler Riggs winning for The Walking Dead, because that show is just a ratings juggernaut, especially for the channel it's on, AMC. AMC, they don't have as many shows as, say, HBO, but the ones they have had have always been big in terms of ratings or Emmy Award wins. So not only do they have The Walking Dead, but they also had Mad Men and Breaking Bad. Best Supporting Actor on Television. I can't really comment too much. I've heard a lot of praise for Richard Armitage in Hannibal, but I've also heard quite a lot of praise for Vincent D'Onofrio in Daredevil, Kit Harington in Game of Thrones, and Patrick Wilson in Fargo. Although interestingly, this is like the only awards ceremony I've seen where Patrick Wilson was nominated as a supporting rather than a lead, because when he's been nominated for Fargo at like the Critics' Choice Awards, he was nominated as a lead, not supporting. So, Best Supporting Actress on Television. I know Denai Guerrera's character on The Walking Dead is very popular, but I also know that Melissa McBride's character on The Walking Dead is also really popular. And then Lena Headey on Game of Thrones. Everyone has said that was her best season ever, particularly for the season finale, The Winds of Winter. But since I haven't seen too much of these, I can't comment on who should be the rightful winner. For Best Actor on Television, I know Bruce Campbell certainly has a high place in pop culture, and I know a lot of people loved Ash vs. Evil Dead, but there's quite a lot of fan favorite names in this category, such as Charlie Cox for Daredevil, David Duchovny for The X-Files, although I know the recent short season was mixed at best in terms of critical and fan reception, but I know a lot of people love Grant Gustin in The Flash, Sam Heughan in Outlander, Andrew Lincoln in The Walking Dead, and Mads Mikkelsen in Hannibal, so I guess it seems if any one of those people had won, it'd be fine. Best Actress on Television, again with Outlander, that show I know has a very dedicated fan base, so they're probably all jumping for joy at Katrina Balfe's win. Let's see who else is on here that's popular. I know a lot of people did like Melissa Benoist in Supergirl, and Kristen Ritter and Jessica Jones. Those two are very popular. For Best Guest Performer on Television, I haven't seen any of these nominees, so it'll be interesting to see if William Shatner won because he truly was the best in that category, or if he just won because he's William Shatner. I mean, I haven't seen Haven, so I wouldn't know. But there's one name on here who is certainly very well beloved. In fact, she's kind of like the Jennifer Lawrence of the Broadway world. Laura Benanti. She has a recurring role on Supergirl, but Laura Benanti is best known for her work in Broadway musicals. She won a Tony Award for the 2008 revival of Gypsy. She was also in Sound of Music revival in the late 90s. And she was also in The Sound of Music Live on NBC in 2013. And she was also recently in the Broadway revival of She Loves Me, which got critical raves across the board. Best Presentation on Television. I haven't seen any of these. Although, like I said in my nominations video, I'm really surprised Sharknado 3 is in here. For Best New Media Television Series, which is basically TV shows on Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, Crackle. Haven't seen any of them. Best Superheroes Television Series, haven't seen any of them. Best Action or Thriller Television Series, haven't seen any of them, although Hannibal, I know, while it was not a ratings juggernaut, it got canceled because of low ratings. It certainly was a critical darling, and it certainly did have a small but passionate fan base. So I guess this was kind of a goodbye hug for them for Best Fantasy Television Series. Outlander, certainly, as I said before, certainly has its fans, but Game of Thrones, you can argue, is still going strong 6 seasons in. Best horror television series, The Walking Dead. Yeah, it seems pretty obvious just based on its, continued dominance in pop culture. And best science fiction television series, I've literally never seen Continuum. I literally have no idea what channel it's even on. I'm sure a lot of these wins in the television categories will make people happy, but since I haven't seen too many of them, I can't really give full commentary on whether they're the best choices or not. Film, though, I certainly can, and we're going to get right into that. Okay, so here are the winners in the film categories. Best Costume Design, Alexandra Byrne, Avengers Age of Ultron. Best Film Editing, Marianne Brandon and Mary Jo Markey, Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Best Makeup, Neil Scanlon, Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Best Music, John Williams, Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Best Production Design, Thomas E. Sanders, Crimson Peak. Best Special Effects, Roger Guyatt, Patrick Tubach, Neil Scanlon, and Chris Corbould, Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Best Writing, Lawrence Kasdan, J.J. Abrams, and Michael Arndt, Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Best Young Actor or Actress, Ty Simpkins, Jurassic World. Best Supporting Actor, Adam Driver, Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Best Supporting Actress, Jessica Chastain, Crimson Peak. Best Actor, Harrison Ford, Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Best Actress, Charlize Theron, Mad Max Fury Road. Mad Max Fury Road. Best Director, Ridley Scott, The Martian. Best Animated Film, Inside Out. Best International Film, Turbo Kid. Best Independent Film, Room. Best Comic Book Film, Ant-Man. Best Action or Adventure Film, Furious 7. Best Fantasy Film, Cinderella. Best Horror Film, Crimson Peak. Best Thriller Film, Bridge of Spies. Best Science Fiction Film, Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. So obviously Star Wars is the dominant winner here, and did it deserve to win everything? Let's find out. For Best Costume Design, I honestly thought Cinderella should have won this award, because the costumes in that movie were just beautiful all the way around, especially with Cinderella's ball gown. Any version of Cinderella needs to have a beautiful ball gown for the ball sequence, and this one was just breathtaking. But it wasn't just the ball gown. Every costume, from Cinderella's stepmother and stepsisters to even the rags that she wears when she's, cleaning the house, even those look really good as well. Best Film Editing. Star Wars is certainly a good choice, but I personally would have picked Mad Max Fury Road, just simply because in many action films, the best way to determine the quality of the action scenes is not just through the action itself, but also the way it's edited. And editing can make or break an action film in terms of how good or bad it is. And Mad Max Fury Road, one of the absolute best things about that film is its editing, because the editing just makes all of those action sequences look incredible. Best Makeup. I personally would have given this to Mad Max Fury Road as well, only because the film I thought actually should win this wasn't even nominated. The Oscars nominated it, but not the Saturn Awards, and that's The Revenant. Now, while the Saturn Awards did do a nice job of nominating Black Mass, a film that many thought should have gotten an Oscar nomination for its makeup. I don't understand how they could not have nominated The Revenant, because of the makeup effects on Leonardo DiCaprio, both after he's mauled by the bear and just from being exposed to the cold all the time. They looked not only incredible, but realistic. So it would have been nice to see The Revenant in there for that reason. For Best Music. Now, this winner was very deserving. John Williams is the rightful winner for Star Wars The Force Awakens, in my opinion. I know a lot of people might want to see Ennio Morricone win for The Hateful Eight because he did win the Oscar earlier this year. But I honestly did feel Star Wars The Force Awakens had the best score of 2015. I really liked how John Williams made a Star Wars score that was not a ripoff or an imitation of any of his previous Star Wars scores or any of his other film scores in general. John Williams has been a film composer for more than 50 years, and every film he does, he just manages to create a score that is perfect for that film. And I can't wait to see what he does for Star Wars Episode 8. He won't be doing the music for Rogue One coming in December, the film that takes place in between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, Episodes 3 and 4. Alexander Desplat will be doing the music for that film. But John Williams will be back for Star Wars Episode 8, and I believe he has started or is about to start writing the music for that film, since Star Wars Episode 8 is now officially in post-production. Best Production Design. Some people might not like Crimson Peak winning this category, but based on the nominees they have here, I'll agree with this win. I would have liked to see The Martian get nominated here because they did a fantastic job of turning the Wadi Rum Desert of Jordan into Mars, but Crimson Peak, although people are split about it, some think it's okay, some think it's a disappointment, you can't deny that the set in that movie is just gorgeous. They really put a lot of effort in there into getting the period details right, and it just looks great. Best Special Effects. Star Wars The Force Awakens totally deserved to win this honor. Many people thought it would win at the Oscars, but it surprisingly lost to Ex Machina, although Ex Machina is a terrific film, but I'm very glad to see it win here. Best Writing. Now, Star Wars The Force Awakens, which won here, it did have really great writing. Most of the Star Wars films do have good writing, but the writing, Drew Goddard's screenplay for The Martian, I felt was not only the best screenplay of 2015, but I believe it's one of the best written science fiction screenplays of all time. I know that's a bold statement to make, but having seen a lot of science fiction films in my life, I honestly have never seen one with the kind of writing that The Martian has, and I honestly don't know if I ever will. So, I honestly feel The Martian should be taught in screenwriting classes, not just for making science fiction films, but for making films in general. It really is that great. Best Young Actor or Actress. Now, this award is the one that made my friends and I the most upset. Now, to be fair, I have not seen Jurassic World, but I have heard that most of the performances in it, including the ones from the kids, are good, but I honestly don't see how any of these performances could be better than Jacob Tremblay in Room. Even if Ty Simpkins was really good in Jurassic World, it should be noted that with Jacob Tremblay's performance in Room, critics thought it was Oscar-worthy. In fact, many people thought Jacob Tremblay was one of the biggest snubs of this year's Oscars when his performance wasn't nominated. And when you watch Room, you'll see Jacob Tremblay give a performance that's not only way more mature than you would expect from any child actor, but it's way more mature than quite a lot of performances we see from adult actors. In fact, Adam Sandler never has and probably never will give a performance on the level of Jacob Tremblay's performance in Room. Just from the way Jacob Tremblay's performance was talked about in Hollywood, you would think that would have carried it, that momentum would have carried it to a win here, but sadly it didn't. And I really wish it had. But Jacob Tremblay is still really young, so he will have many more chances to be nominated in this category. This category can nominate actors up until, I think, the age of 21, I think is the cutoff date. So Jacob Tremblay has at least 10 more years to be nominated here, so we'll see. Best Supporting Actor. Adam Driver definitely deserved to win, in my opinion, from these nominees. He was fantastic as Kylo Ren in The Force Awakens, and I can't wait to see what he does in Episode 8. Best Supporting Actress. As much as I love Jessica Chastain, I don't think she should have won for Crimson Peak. Her performance was good, but like I said with Jacob Tremblay in Room, a lot of people really loved Alicia Vikander's performance in Ex Machina, including me. In fact, there were many who thought she should have been nominated at the Oscars for Ex Machina instead of The Danish Girl, which she ended up winning the Oscar for. However, I like both Ex Machina and The Danish Girl, so I'm not nitpicky about that kind of thing. But just based on the people nominated here, I didn't see Ant-Man or Bahubali at the beginning, and both Carrie Fisher and Lupita Nyong'o were good in Star Wars The Force Awakens, but Alicia Vikander's performance in Ex Machina, it's one of those performances that really stands out in that movie and stays with you long after the movie ends. So, for that reason, I think she should have won here. Best Actor. Now, this category was really what you would call an embarrassment of riches because there were just so many great performances nominated here. I can imagine a lot of Saturn Awards voters, when filling out their ballots, going, I can only pick one person from these nominees? Oh, man. And Harrison Ford certainly was excellent as Han Solo in Star Wars The Force Awakens, and Han Solo is my all-time favorite Star Wars character. But I think just by a slight margin, Leonardo DiCaprio in The Revenant, again, that was one of those once-in-a-lifetime performances that comes along every once in a while. You know, DiCaprio has given many great performances, but even by his great standards, he outdid himself in The Revenant. He did things you'd never seen him do before, and he was just fantastic. But even if your favorite person didn't win, you can't really be too mad about anyone in this category winning, because there isn't really anything to complain about any of these performances, at least according to the people who've seen all of them. I've seen most of them, but not all of them. And from the ones I have seen, the only one I did not see was Paul Rudd in Ant-Man. I did really like all of them a lot, and they're all very deserving. Best Actress. Now, this was the category I felt in my nominations video that had a lot of big snubs. There were 3 big snubs, in my opinion, that I am shocked the Saturn Awards did not nominate here. First is Jennifer Lawrence in The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2. She had been nominated every other year for every other Hunger Games movie, and I'm surprised she didn't get nominated here. Lily James in Cinderella, I thought, should have been nominated here, and Brie Larson in Room. If Jacob Tremblay could have been nominated for Best Young Actor or Actress, why not Brie Larson for Best Actress? She did win the Oscar, so I don't understand how she got left off the list here. Now, Charlize Theron is an excellent winner for Mad Max Fury Road. For me, her and Daisy Ridley for Star Wars The Force Awakens were the 2 best nominees in this category, and they're really neck and neck for me. Like, one minute I can think Charlize Theron was the rightful winner, and the other I may think maybe Daisy Ridley was a little more deserving by just a hair. So I'm not really going to debate that too much. So either way, I'm happy there. Best Director. Now, Ridley Scott winning Best Director for The Martian was the only award that The Martian won at the Saturn Awards. And while I wish it would have won more, I'm at least happy it won something here. And Ridley Scott not getting nominated at the Oscars, that was just baffling. I don't understand how that happened. Maybe he missed out by just 1 or 2 votes, but still. So I'm very, very glad he won here. And especially because The Martian, as you all know, was my favorite film of 2015. Best Animated Film. Inside Out, that was a lock to win. I think everybody knew that. But it was very deserving of the win because Inside Out just was hailed across the board for everything, and deservedly so. Best International Film. Now, these were films that could be in a foreign language or in the English language, but made outside of the United States. That was the main caveat here. And Turbo Kid, that's like an independent comic book film from Canada, I believe. It stars one of the cast members from Degrassi: The Next Generation. Monroe Chambers, I think is his name. So I haven't seen it, but I've heard some pretty good things about it. Best Independent Film. Yes, Room absolutely deserved to win here, no doubt about it. Best Comic Book Film. I've heard a lot of differing responses to this category. I'm sure there will be a lot of people happy Ant-Man has won, but I know some people who would have rather seen Avengers Age of Ultron win or Kingsman The Secret Service win. Because see, for Best Comic Book Film, they're not just taking comics about superheroes, but also classic comics like the Peanuts strip and Kingsman The Secret Service, which is adapted from a graphic novel. Me, personally, I would have liked to have seen the Peanuts movie win. Now, while both the Peanuts movie and Kingsman The Secret Service were in my honorable mentions for best films of 2015, I like the Peanuts movie, and I gave them both a 9 out of 10. I like the Peanuts movie just a little bit more. Best Action or Adventure Film. I can certainly understand why Furious 7 probably won, not only because of the insane action sequences in that movie, but also because of the fact that it is the last Fast and Furious film to star Paul Walker. But I personally would have liked to have seen The Revenant one. I know it's not an action movie in the vein of Furious 7, but don't forget this category is Best Action or Adventure Film. Plus, I think The Revenant is the best movie out of the movies on this list. Best Fantasy Film. Now, this is a tricky one. Cinderella is a very good winner. However, The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2 is more science fiction than fantasy. In fact, I think other Hunger Games films in the past have been nominated as Best Science Fiction Film, not Best Fantasy Film. So based on that, I'm going to have to say Cinderella is the rightful winner. Best Horror Film. I know a lot of people are disappointed by Crimson Peak winning here because, while some people like myself liked it, a lot of others found it disappointing. But at least Crimson Peak is a better winner than last year's choice for Best Horror Film. Last year at the Saturn Awards, Dracula Untold won Best Horror Film, and that film was not held in very high regard by critics or horror fans, and it beat out a much more lauded horror film, The Babadook. But the only other film I've seen on this list is The Visit. I haven't seen Insidious Chapter 3, It Follows, Krampus, or What We Do in the Shadows. So if I had to choose between Crimson Peak and The Visit, I'd have to pick The Visit, actually. Just by a hair, because I gave Crimson Peak a 7 out of 10 and The Visit an 8 out of 10. Now, like Crimson Peak, The Visit has been really polarizing. Some have hailed it as a sort of comeback for M. Night Shyamalan because The Visit certainly didn't get universal praise, but it certainly has gotten way more praise than a lot of M. Night Shyamalan's other recent films like The Last Airbender or After Earth. But other people have really hated The Visit, some even calling it one of the worst horror movies of all time, which I don't understand at all. Will it be a horror film classic? No. But is it one of the absolute worst? Hell no. Some elements in The Visit were predictable, but others I was surprised by, because I went in with an open mind, and I did not look up any spoilers before seeing it. But I had a fun time with The Visit, and I hope M. Night Shyamalan's next film, which comes out in January, and I believe it's called Split, I hope that's at least good too. Maybe it'll be one of the few good January movies, because January is notorious as a dumping ground for bad original movies and Oscar contender holdovers. A lot of times Oscar contenders will get a limited release in December and then a wide release in January. Best thriller film. I'm very happy for Bridge of Spies winning here. Some people might be like, well, that's not a thriller on the same level as Black Mass or The Gift or The Hateful Eight or Sicario, but Bridge of Spies, it was in my top 10 of last year, and I did feel it was a riveting historical drama about an event that a lot of people don't know about. So I'm very glad that it helped bring that event to life, and I'm really glad Mark Rylance won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. I know a lot of people were rooting for Sylvester Stallone to win for Creed, but I'm very happy Mark Rylance won here. Well, speaking of Mark Rylance, I'm very surprised he didn't get nominated as Best Supporting Actor here at the Saturn Awards, but, well, he can't be nominated everywhere, I guess. At least he won the Oscar, so that's good. And finally, Best Science Fiction Film. I'm definitely not surprised Star Wars The Force Awakens won this, and while it was in my Best of the Year list, it wasn't my number one. My number one, of course, was The Martian, and I do believe The Martian should have won. But let me just make one thing clear. I did not hate Star Wars The Force Awakens in any way. I gave it a 10 out of 10. It was my 5th best film of 2015. But just because it's a Star Wars film, it doesn't mean it has to win absolutely everything. But overall, many of these winners are not winners that make me go, ugh! Maybe the only one is Ty Simpkins winning over Jacob Tremblay for Best Young Actor or Actress, but that's about it. I think this is a good winners list overall, and I don't really have too much to complain about. Hopefully next year's Saturn Awards will also have some good nominees and winners. Well, that's all I have to say for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and please subscribe to my channel to get more content, and I will be back soon with my long-awaited Emmy nominations video, since the Emmy Awards are coming up in a few weeks. Until then, I will see you guys next time. Bye.